Have you heard from Boris Johnson so far tonight? And?
Running commentary.
What, you want the time?
I want to know what he said.
Well, can you tell us?
Sweet to hear.
Yeah.
No.
You're not going to tell us what he said?
No.
OK, that's no use. Is he talking about coming back?
Is he watching you on Channel 4? Is he watching Channel 4?
Why didn't you talk to Alistair about Tony Blair?
Well,
because he's obviously not got over him yet.
So why don't you we know that you're about to leave us.
So
What do you expect? Do you think that Boris Johnson will come back into the Conservative Party in any shape or form in the next incarnation?
Well, so, you know, I'll just make the same point again. Reform on 3%.
Wait, don't make the same point again. Just tell us about Boris Johnson.
It actually is. It's important in terms of the context of what happens in the future to the Conservative Party. I happen to think that the rise of the reform and the rise of the right in the UK is a really dangerous prospect.
He hasn't said anything, has he?
And
he hasn't said anything, has he?
What, about him coming back?
Yes.
Not about coming back, no, because we're talking about the results and the percentages.
OK.
And the fact
is he saying, God, get me away from this party, or is he saying, they need me, here's my cake?
That's not the discussion.
Do you think he is the person who could actually bring it back together and bring people back from reform to the Conservative Party?
So if I think reform and the rise of the right and some of the behaviours that we've seen from reform over this campaign, what's happening in France and other countries across Europe, I think it's, and in Canada, I think it's alarming, the rise and the right. And I know the point's been made that we are... Well, Emily, if everybody else is allowed to make their speeches, and so could I just finish what I'm going to say? Well, I'm not making a speech, but could I just finish what I was going to say?
Briefly.
So I think that the fact that there is a rise on the right, we may not be far behind it. And I think that it's indicated if reform comes second in a large number of seats,
Nadine, I just
then
want to
we
bring
will
a
need
stat to you.
Someone
Boris Johnson,
who can take on Nigel Farage.
Understand they have brought politics into disrepute, and it's time that the Labour Party and Keir Starmer is given a chance, and I wish the media would. It's about time. Change is what's needed, and Nadine Dorries is deluded.
One of the reasons why your party is in such trouble.
Into that.
One of the reasons why your party has lost so badly tonight is because you keep defending a liar and because other people keep defending Liz Truss, who crashed the economy. This is a story of 14 years and 5 prime ministers who run this country into the ground. If you seriously think that bringing those people back is the way to sort your party out,
are you the author of the sex dossier and the war in Iraq merchant? Are you actually throwing these accusations across the table?
Because you're a proven liar by a parliamentary account. Boris Johnson, your mate.
Well, weren't you proved to be a liar by your sexed-up dossier in the war in Iraq? Weren't you proven to be a liar, Alistair?
Rory, why don't you make a grown-up point? Honestly, you've got to get over Boris Johnson. The fact that Rishi Sunak wheeled him out...
I find that quite a sexist comment.
No, it's not.
Alistair,
Thank you. No, it's not.
No, I think it is, Alistair.
It really isn't. You still seem to think that Boris Johnson is an electoral asset. Rishi Sunak wheeling him out the eve of the election was one of many mistakes he's made. Liz Truss and Boris Johnson.
I think that's the reason why we've got 131 and not 50. You talk about Rishi Sunak, so I'll mention Rishi in particular. You have one of the richest, most privileged people in the country getting the top job. And what Justine's been talking about, that lack of access, that's actually got much worse just in my lifetime. So when I was a teenager and growing up in the back streets of Liverpool, it was actually achievable to... And it's across all sectors, the arts and many sectors too. It was achievable if you really worked hard. That equality was there. You could get to university.
But Nadine, you are funny. Let's be honest. You called David Cameron a posh boy, but Boris Johnson, who's been to exactly the same school and had the same upbringing, is absolutely fine. And
no, I have to address that. So
I mean, look, they're all, very privileged people, but somehow you choose the one you love and you hate the rest.
No.
But can I just pick up on something?
Can I just say that he spent... We have not similar backgrounds, but he had no money growing up. You may say he had privilege, but he knows what hardship is like. So there is a difference.
He went to Eton. What are you talking about?
Yeah, on the scholarship.
And all his brothers went to Eton. How did his brothers afford to go to Eton?
Everyone in that family got...
They didn't. No, they didn't.
Can I just say...
Boris Johnson, I'm very happy to read one out.
Yeah.
So I asked, what were reform on when you were Prime Minister? He said they were on about 3%.
We could have Googled that, Nadine.
This is caused by Rishi's disastrous dropping of Brexit and levelling up. Starmer has a much smaller share of the vote than we did in 2019.
Clutching at
OK, that's Boris Johnson.
Breaking news. That's Boris Johnson's first comment on the campaign.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Tiny talent pool of 120 to rush into a leadership contest as if the choice of that leader somehow settles the philosophical differences we've been batting about today and the party's been batting about for years is crackers.
But that's not going to happen. You know it isn't, because they are all desperate to be leaders. They won't wait a year.
I keep hearing Gary in my ear sort of echoing the lesson of the night is that the public are sick of this. And whatever that conversation...
Sick of what?
The Tories.
The Tory psychodrama. And so, yes, that conversation will happen, but, I mean...
But that's just Gary's opinion. That doesn't reflect the low turnout. We don't know what the people who didn't turn out and vote think. They may not be sick of it. They just may want the Conservative
Nadine,
Party
get real.
to become Conservatives again. Because I think that's one of the big problems. We failed to be a Conservative Party.
I think it's one
the Conservative Party is 3 foot underground. Why do you want to bury it 6 foot
This is what people want to stop.
Where do you think reform have come from?
Lots of reasons for that.